Back in 2018, I took my first long-distance motorcycle trip to the Great Smoky Mountains with my brother. And before I made it back home from that trip, I was already trying to decide what my next adventure would be. The Smoky Mountain trip changed me, I think. You get a taste of what it's like to experience the freedom you get on a motorcycle. It's incredibly addictive. And I love the spirit of the adventure and the spirit of the travel. The beauty of a motorcycle is you're really feeling what you are traveling through, and you get to embrace the adventure as it unfolds. And before I made it back home for the Smoky Mountain trip, I had decided that my next adventure would be the 79th Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in Sturgis, South Dakota. The original plan was to head straight north, the shortest distance to Sturgis. Then, about 4 months into the planning, I went on my first motorcycle camping trip, and that went well. It really opened my eyes to other possibilities for future adventures on my motorcycle. And hiking was one idea that seemed like a good fit. Now, after the decision was made to add hiking into the mix, I decided to change my route and head west to Aspen, Colorado to fit in a hike at the Maroon Bells. So, instead of taking the shortest distance, I'll be taking the long way. I'm going to ride over 3,800 miles through 8 states over a period of 13 days. The first leg of the trip, the departure, I will be departing from my house, riding through central Louisiana, across the northern part of Texas, up the northeast corner of New Mexico, and into Colorado, where I will stop for a 2-day, 1-night hike at the Maroon Bells near Aspen, Colorado. Then I'll ride out to meet a friend in Sidney, Nebraska, and we'll ride up through western Nebraska and finally arriving into Sturgis, South Dakota. After a few days of enjoying the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in the Blackhills area, I will begin the second leg, the return, riding across South Dakota, then down through the middle of Nebraska, through Kansas, and arriving in Edmond, Oklahoma for an overnight stay at Scott's house before riding back through northeast Texas and across Louisiana, where I'll finally arrive back home 13 days later. And I'm calling this trip Taking the Long Way to Sturgis. Welcome to day one of Taking the Long Way to Sturgis. You know, I've been planning this trip for over a year now, and today the long 13-day journey begins. You know, sometimes these long adventures can go by just like... Okay, so maybe not that quick, but tomorrow I'm leaving Sturgis, making my way back home, so let me get you back to the beginning so I can share what I've experienced on this trip so far. Oh, by the way, this is downtown Sturgis. Okay, back to the beginning. With an early morning departure to start day one, I am on my way, 1 mile down. Woo! And many more to come, I was glad to be on the journey. 4 hours later, a quick snack for lunch, then back on the road. Then, just north of Tyler, Texas, a Starbucks break to refresh, a post to Instagram for the folks back home, a gear check, and us back on the road. Wow, everything really is bigger in Texas. After 12 hours on the road and 566 miles later, which was a personal record, I stopped at Dakota, Texas to end day one. After an early morning coffee and a bagel at Starbucks, I hit the road to start day two. The plan was to ride 511 miles to Raton, New Mexico. I couldn't help but notice that the pull of leaving home slowly melted away with each passing mile as the focus and the excitement turned to the adventure before me. A fun selfie during a break somewhere in West Texas to say howdy to the folks back home, a post to Instagram, and I was back on the road. Then, just west of Wichita Falls, I discovered after enjoying the views of the large wind turbine farms, I took a much-needed break near Amarillo, Texas. Had lunch, took a few selfies, a post to Instagram, then I was back on the road. After Amarillo, I made the turn north and set my focus on crossing the state line. Hey, I made it! Took a picture of the Capulin Volcano National Monument, then rode on in to Raton, New Mexico. Checked in at the Raton Pass Motor Inn, got unpacked, had dinner, and caught a sunset to end day 2. Day 3 started with an idyllic sunrise, a good cup of coffee, got packed, and rolled out. After a shout out to this guy, I was on my way. The plan was to ride 255 miles to Aspen, Colorado.
Oh, thank God I'm rolling. Thank God I'm soaring straight on down the road.
Yeah, I had to stop for a picture of this. I post Instagram, and I was back on the road.
Oh, thank God I'm rolling. Thank God I'm soaring.
Finally, I took a break for lunch. I had lunch at the View Cafe, of course, a bagel and a latte. After a much-needed rest, I was back on the road. Then, I made the turn onto Highway 82 to cross Independence Pass. Highway 82 is closed after the first significant snowfall, usually in November, and reopens just before Memorial Day in late May. Finally, rode on in to Aspen, Colorado to end day 3. On day 4, I set out to do something I had never done before. Hike. A 15.5 mile round trip out and back journey from Buckskin Pass Trail to Snowmass Lake at the Maroon Bells. I had to take some pictures and a few selfies of the most photographed place in all of Colorado. Then I started my hike toward Buckskin Pass. There's 3,000 feet of elevation to gain before the pass, so this was not going to be an easy first hike. Arrived at the trail junction at 1.7 miles, took a right for Maroon Snowmass Trail. Caught some awesome views of Crater Lake, a selfie for Instagram, rested a lot, just one of many breaks. Then, around 4.3 miles into the hike, this happened at 12,463 feet. I made it to Buckskin Pass. Sweet! Wow, just look at these views. After taking in the breathtaking views, celebrating the victory of reaching the pass, and a few pictures later, I started my descent to Snowmass Lake. Of course, I had to deal with heavy rain on and off the rest of the way. It was rough going, but I finally made it to Snowmass Lake. I quickly set up my tent while there was a break in the rain, had dinner, and called it a day. I woke to this view of Snowmass Peak. Then, after breakfast, I packed up and started the return hike back to where I started. It felt like I was hiking an entirely different trail on the way back. It was a beautiful, scenic morning with spectacular mountain views, the smell of evergreen pines. The views were absolutely incredible. Then I stopped for a quick lunch before making it back to Buckskin Pass. Hey, I made it. As I finished up the hike, I reflected on what I had just experienced. And I was reminded that it's when I'm outside my element that I experience myself the most. Life truly begins at the end of your comfort zone. So, the question is, I am leaving Aspen, Colorado on my way to Sydney, Nebraska to meet Scott Louderback. The morning started with a sweet ride on 82 toward Independence Pass. A quick stop at Independence Pass. With the rain front chasing me, I quickly got back on the road. I took a ride off 82 and rode through Leadville. Had lunch at the Sky Shoots Coffee House near Copper Mountain. After a coffee and a bagel, I headed east on Interstate 70 toward Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel. The tunnel carries Interstate 70 under the Continental Divide in the Rocky Mountains. It's the largest mountain tunnel and the highest point on the interstate highway system. Eastbound, it's called the Johnson Tunnel. Westbound, the Eisenhower Tunnel. I would soon learn it can be a roller coaster when you're riding cross country. One moment you're in heaven, the next you don't know if you can keep going. The last 80 miles, I had to ride through intense heavy rains and strong winds.
Yeah, without the struggle we won't get far.
I was glad to see Sydney in my sights and this guy to greet me.
Here comes my boy, Captain D. Fighting a long, hard, cold rain. All the way from Aspen, Colorado, baby. But the dog has done it. The dog is here on the back of rock and roll, baby. This dude is rock and rolling right now. This is what they call Captain D right here. Check out this sweet ride, brah. Captain D, baby. Rock and roll at the Sydney Motor Lodge.
Got unpacked, had dinner, and we planned our route we would take into Sturgis the following day. Started day 7, getting the bikes packed. Of course, a latte and a bagel across the street at the local Starbucks. Then, a photo session before hitting the road.
Might not change it out.
I'm gonna get a little clunky.
3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All right, another one. No, one more.
Okay.
Okay, go hit the stop button and I'll demonstrate greatness for you.
Every day brings new light to help us on our way. Always taking my breath, whether sun or rain. The wind will carry us over that horizon we see. It's getting closer. This is why we live. For moments like this. This is why we live. For moments like this, yeah.
Stop for a gear adjustment and a snack, then back on the road.
Calls and the river waits for what's to come. A dreamer's day. The wind will carry us over that horizon we see.
Then a quick lunch break before crossing the state line.
This is why we live.
South Dakota!
South Dakota, baby!
This is why we live. For moments like this, yeah.
Hey! South Dakota, baby. We made it.
Moments like this is why we live. This is why we live.
We finally rode into Sturgis. Checked in the Cozy Cabin number 1 at the Sturgis RV Park. Had dinner at the Iron Horse Saloon, then checked out the sights and the sounds of the 79th Sturgis Rally on Main Street. What a way to end day 7.
Count to 3. Okay. Say some silver. That's it. Alright, next one. Stand like this.
So now we're at the Bluebell Lodge Resort, and Scott is drying his clothes.
What up, Captain? I got a little wet, brah. taking the show back to Evan.
grow